Hi friends, let us enter into the second part of opioid analgesics. In the first part, we were seeing about what is opioids, what are analgesics, what is the mechanism of action, how the pain has been, pathway from one place to the, that means the way of injury from the mechanical injury to the CNS and also back to the periphery so that you can feel the pain, how it is propagated. We know that for the propagation of pain, the main two neurotransmitters which are used are here are glutamate, as we indicated in the last section, and here still the diagram is present over here. That is glutamate, which is always an excitatory neurotransmitter. Next you have substance P, which is a inflammatory neurotransmitter, a hormone released when it is an autocoid. And you have CGRP, nothing but calcitonin gene related proteins, which these three are mainly used or mainly chemical mediators which are used to propagate your pain. Today we will see the classification and we'll end up with the mechanism of action of morphine, which is one of the potent drugs in the classification. So here I've written the classification with the small headings, with the small points over here. You can indicate here like this. And out of which it has been categorized into three parts, and it has been taken into three parts. The first part consists of natural opioids which are being available in the nature in the form of morphine, that we already know about it. This Codeine, it is one of the most natural drug which is available. Next you have codeine, you have noscopain and papaverine. So these are the different types of naturally occurring opioids which are available. That means from these opioids itself we are trying to make some semi-synthetic products or semi-synthetic drugs, or we can make some synthetic drugs, and out of which we are dealing with the morphine now. And next you have in the second category what is called semi-synthetic drugs, and I have already written over here semi-synthetic opioids. That means they are prepared from the original, that means the natural opioids which are available. So they are given as oxymorphone, that means it is taken from morphine. Dihydrocodeine, it is taken from codeine, and dextromethorphan, it is one of the drugs taken from morphine. So the modified drugs, because the natural drugs are so crude, we have to make some synthetic products from that, and so that needs some semi-synthetic opioids. So this is your second category. Next we will jump to the third category, what are called as synthetic opioids. These are the front ones, new ones, and also have little bit lesser side effects rather than the natural products. And so why they are? Because they are made synthetically, and out of which you have different types of products over here, and out of which you have pethidine and its analogs, that means different types of pethidine analogs. You have one more drug which is called fentanyl, which is one of the potent drugs which are used rather than the morphine. You have methadone, and you have nalbuphine, which is very important potent drug. You have butorphanol, which is very important, and you have pentazocine. So whatever the drug we take, whether the form is different, but its mechanism of action is different for each and everything. So once you take one product into mechanism of action, you can finish off with all the other products. Little bit side effects may be differ, or sometimes the mechanism of action may little differ, but 90 to 95% they will be equal to the natural products. And now we will see what is morphine, how it is doing and how it is blocking and what it is blocking. And so as we saw the picture yesterday, it is acting on the presynaptic and postsynaptic areas, making some neurotransmitters into the synaptical junction, and that glutamate is taken by NMDA and AMPA. Once this neurotransmitters enters into it, it allows you for Ca2 plus and Na plus, so that the potentiality of the postsynapse is being increased and making you the firing of neurons. The firing is being indicated over here. And later we know that substance P is an autocoid. Whenever there is some healing products, whenever there is some disailment of the products, that means like pain, burning, ruptures, whatever it is, the body will start taking autocoids. So those autocoids will be substance P will be there, histamine, 5-HT3, prostaglandins, leukotrienes. These are different types of autocoids what are released, and this substance is one of the autocoid which have been released to the pain, where it is being supported by prostaglandins and arachidonic acid, which is one of the compound which is prepared for the pain relievers by the help of cyclooxygenase. Yesterday I told you about this small topic, and later you have CGRP, nothing but the calcitonin gene related protein, and this is taken via a pathway called as CGRP. So this is CGRP receptor, this NK1 is a substance P receptor, NMDA and AMP are the glutamate receptors. And yesterday we were telling about endogenous opioid receptors which are available in the body naturally. They are called as dynorphins, enkephalins and endorphins. So these are distributed according to their body positions. They may be in the spinal area, they may be supraspinal area, they may be to the sedation, to the anastics, to the meiosis part. So relating to the various where they have been distributed, it is been covered all the areas of your body to propagate the pain. And here you have some products like this. These are called as opioid receptors. Yesterday we were dealing about that. This opioid receptor is a 7-membrane receptor. So, and this is also called as serpentine receptor. Why? Because it is taking the shape of a snake. So it is called serpentine receptor, and it is GI coupled protein or GP protein coupled. That means GPCR, nothing but protein coupled receptor. And this serpentine or the opioid receptors will try to break up the products called endomorphins, and we know that endomorphins or the diaphorphins or the enkephalins or the naturally occurring, they try to collect, and these have some 3 units. Yesterday we were discussing about that. They are kappa, mu, delta and sigma, which had been related to the different parts which take some distribution patterns. And yesterday we discussed about this distribution patterns onto the body. And so what happens, these endomorphins, for the first enkephalin acts on the kappa and mu, these two, and dynorphins are acting on sigma part, and the last part endorphins, they are acting on the delta part. So depends upon the distribution pattern, these endogenous peptides will collect and try to propagate the pain. So what happens, these are propagating the pain. Now we are using morphine so that the pain is not propagated and we not able to feel the pain. If at all the pain occurs, it has to be reduced or it has to be blocked off. So in order to block this morphine, we are taking a drug morphine, and what it is do now, the first and foremost point, it has to block the opioid receptors which is collecting the natural endogenous glycoproteins. So what are those? They are enkephalins, dynorphins and endorphins. Enkephalins, ensificins, dynorphins and endorphins. So what happens when these 3 are collected onto the opioid receptor, it has been blocking. So the first and foremost step is we need to block the opioid receptor. That means the subunits like kappa, mu, delta and sigma has to be blocked off. So once it is been blocked off, the synthesis of glutamate, substance P and CGP are also being reduced. Once they are synthesized, once they are being excited in the presynaptic area, it has to be blocked in the second postsynaptical area. And on to the first presynaptical area, what it is doing, it is trying to block, after the receiving, it is trying to block your NMDA receptors. So when it is blocking the NMDA receptors, what happens? The transmission of calcium has been blocked off. We know that the calcium is trying to giving you the potentiality and making the action potential much forward. That means it is enhancing our pain pathway, and so this NMDA has to be blocked off. And in the later section, this AMPA is also should be blocked off. Why we should block the AMPA also? This AMPA blocks as the sodium has to be entered, because the sodium is the one which starts its depolarization activity by making action potential. So once these endorphins are being or these three endogenous glycoproteins are blocked by the opioid receptors, the synthesis, that means the chemical mediators which are being synthesized into the presynaptical area, once it enters into the synaptical area, it has been blocking these two receptors which are called as glutamate receptors. So the flow of calcium and the flow of sodium has been blocked off. Now it has been entered into the postsynapse for the further propagation of the pain into the via traveling via spinothalamic tract and to the primary efferent neurons. Iopseptic, no non-iopseptic. Yesterday I was telling you about that neurons, non-iopseptic neurons, which are called as pain neurons. And so once these are being blocked off, the substance P which has been acted are also blocking your NMK1 receptor. And NMK receptor is once it is been blocked off, we can see there is inhibition of PKC. Once the PK has been blocked off, you can see the maximization of magnesium released ions from the NMDA, which is making the Ca calcium into the lesser part. So what is the main aim now? In order to control your calcium. So that work is already done. And later we can see that once it is entered into this part is over. And now the calcium is being reduced, the sodium is reduced, the magnesium is heightened. And now we can see one more part where it is acting on the opioid receptor onto the postsynapse. We know that the postsynapse is also having one opioid receptor. So what happens and what is the work of this opioid receptor? The morphine is blocking your opioid receptor into the postsynapse. So once it is blocking the opioid receptor in the postsynapse, what it is doing? It is making the way of potassium highway. It is enhancing potassium. You can do it in double mark. It is enhancing potassium. So the work we know that the potassium, once it is been effluxed from your synapse, we know that the action potentiality is being reduced and repolarization activity starts, and so the firing is being inhibited. Once the excitation and firing is inhibited, probably the propagation of pain is not being transmitted from your spinothalamic tract to the primary efferent neurons. That is being stopped off. Once they are stopped off, the pain, what is the stimuli of pain, what we are feeling will be reduced off. So this is the work of morphine. All the other analogues of all the morphines, the work of mechanism of action will be done in this pathway. And now this is the work what it is doing. Now let us represent the pharmacological way, which is a very easy part, into the aromatically. And we now, let me erase this classification and finish off with your morphine. That will be very easy for you to understand. And according to the exam point of view, this is a very important question writing about a small theory of opioids and mechanism of action of opioid analgesics. By the classification of opioid analgesics and mechanism of action of opioid analgesics. Now as we are dealt into the same section, let me highlight you like this so that you can understand easily. And now I am taking the drug here and we can start writing like this. Now we know that it has to be started with acts on. We know that we should write what we need to write. We need to write acts on. Where it is doing? It is acting on pre-synapse and post-synapse. This is the first step. This is the whole one is first step. It is acting on pre-synapse and post-synapse. Nothing but the excitation of glutamate neurons. So finish off that also. Excitation of glutamate So this is your first step. And later, once again, you keep an arrow mark, and we know that what we have to write there, we have to write the word blocks. So now you tell me, we can understand, and we can understand that. So you can tell me now what it is blocking. It is blocking 4 steps, isn't it? And as we discussed now itself, in the first step, it is blocking your opioid receptors. Opioid receptors on that's a good part. It is called presynapse. So this is the first step. So next, in the second step, what it is doing? Here we have already indicated that it is blocking, already finished blocking. So NMDA, AMPA, NK1, CGRP. So this is finished. Now the third point, what it is doing, as it is blocking all these receptors, we can understand what it is blocking. So you finish off that, or keep an arrow mark and start once again. Keep an arrow mark and write here decreases. So by blocking, what it is decreases? It is decreasing something. So now you write first one. What is first one? It is blocking. It is decreasing. 2 plus flow. Perfect. Once again, decreasing. Sodium flow. That means you can keep in brackets influx. Next, second step, what it is doing? It is magnifying your magnesium ions. You finish off that work here also. Increasing your magnesium ions. Finished? And later, in the third step, you finished. What it is blocking? It is blocking your opioid receptor on postsynapse. So you can finish off that also. Opioid receptor on postsynapse. So you finish off that also. So acts on presynapse and postsynapse. Excitation of glutamate blocks your opioid receptors of presynapse. What is doing on that? NMDA, AMPA, NK1 and CGRP, what we finished. It is decreasing your calcium flow, sodium flow, that is influx. It is increasing your magnesium by blocking your NK1, the opioid receptors on the postsynapse. So what it is doing? It is blocking your opioid receptors. So we'll finish off the first one, and we can finish off here. I'm erasing here so that you can understand. So start here once again. So what happens? Opioid receptor onto the postsynapse. So what it is blocking? It is blocking your opioid receptor. So write here once again, blocks opioid receptor. So what it is doing? You finish off the word decreases. Yes, perfect. You are going on. So what it is decreasing? It is decreasing efflux. I have to write here increase. Why? Because efflux is increased, right? Increases potassium, decreases depolarization, right? And later decreases propagation of what? Yes, propagation of pain. So last and final word. Let me change your color. This color is not suitable. Propagation of pain. And finally, last step, analgesic. Anti-analgesic. Keep in brackets, narcotic type. Why? Because we are dealing with opioids. So this is the way how we need to represent the mechanism of action of the whole diagram onto the 4 steps. This is the main aim of our videos. This is called pharmacology made easy. And now this is the final mechanism of action, and let me erase your diagram and finish off your brand names and pharmacokinetics. So go for PK. We know that PK stands for ADEM. So go for A through IM route, SSC route, nothing but subcutaneous, and oral route. D, distributed widely by the body, over the body. This is your D. You can represent in a small words. Go for E, through urine and feces. Why? Because through kidneys and bile. Go for M, mainly and by the conjugation and glucuronization. So this is the PK part. Here in distributions we have to write one more point. It is crossing your PCB also. Nothing but it is crossing your teratogenicity. Nothing but it is crossing your placenta. What we saw, fetus part. So it is conjugated. By this we can understand how it is conjugated. So go for the next heading, contraindicated. As it is a narcotic type, it has to be contraindicated in very areas. So that we can indicate it like pregnancy, which is of foremost. Why? Because it is PCB. For the CNS traumal patients. Why? Because it is traveling your CNS, traumas of brain. Asthmatic people cannot use. Why? Because they are acting onto the bronchoconstriction. So asthmatic people we can't use in them, and it also cannot be used onto the erythematosus patients, called as cardiac erythematosus patients. But in a smaller dose we can use in dyspnea of ventricular fibrillations, erythematosus. So these are the different types of contraindications where this drug should not be used. And now we'll come to the uses. We have different types of morphine uses, particularly whenever the pain is so severe. That means we can take it as life-threatening pain, where it is not bearable by the person. So at that time these can be used. And also, as I said here, the second point, it is used as a dyspnea, dyspneal conditions of ventricular fibrillation in a lower doses, fibrillation in lower doses. Next, number 3, it is used as a pre-anesthetic agent. Why? Because I told you it is a drug which is used as narcotically for the conscious patient. That means we loses consciousness. So only it is called as narcotic. And so it is used as pre-anesthetic before the anesthesia is given, so that it becomes a bolus dose and that higher doses of anesthesia not be given. So this is used as a pre-anesthetic agent. So this is a little picture of a morphine. And now we'll come to the final part, what is called brand name. We'll see what is brand name, how it is available in the market, on to the prescription of a doctor. It is available in the form of morphine sulfate. And this is available in the form of tablets, for 100 mg to 400 mg. Later in the form of IMs and SSEs, injections and parenterals. SSEs are available in the form of ointments. Onto the different elements of burns, severe burns areas. So this can be used as a morphine sulfate in order to control your pain at that particular part. So this is called as subcutaneous in the form of ointments, injections in the IM areas, tablets in the form of 100 to 400 milligrams. So this is a story of morphine and how we need to represent in an easy manner. So this is the end of our topic called as opioid analgesics. And bye for now. If at all any queries, just comment in the comment section so that I'll be having my review on it and present you before this. If at all any topics are needed, that also can be given in the comment section, and that topic will be dealt in an easy manner by a series of classes. Bye for now.